Hi, everybody. It's Joe Cioffi here. Welcome to my YouTube channel tonight. Coming up on 10 o'clock Eastern Time as we deal with a non-tropical storm that is moving up the eastern seaboard. Hope everybody had a great day and hope everyone is having a safe evening with the weather that's going on. Just a couple of notes right off the bat. Please remember that when you're watching this on the live stream, it's all fine and dandy. But if you are watching this on a replay later on tonight, the radars and satellites that you see are obviously dated. We are at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. So be sure if severe weather is threatening your area, you want to make sure you're looking at the most updated weather on the radar and the updated any severe thunderstorm warnings that might be running around. So you can check those out on weather.gov. So just finished off a live stream on Facebook. So now it's time for the live stream on YouTube. So it's nice to see everybody on board here. Sean Matry, good to see you. James NASCAR, Green Fire, William Huber, you got to go to your baseball game today. Chantel M, you made it onto the live stream. Jason Schaefer, Stephen Franco, Timothy Veltman, I hope you had a great birthday yesterday. Joshua Pari, also on board. So, and Mr. Cullen is on as well. Excuse me, just a little bit stuffy tonight. All right, last hello to Tyler Knapp. So now we can go on. Let's get going with respect to what's going on weather-wise, because we do have a lot going on at the moment. We'll bring up. I'm going to start with the regional radar view, and you can see how busy it is. I'm going to just refresh it really fast, and we'll go to the regional view here of the Northeast, and I'll bring it up full screen so you can take a look. This is the low that is moving northward up the East Coast, and it is producing quite a bit of rain. It is really interesting here, by the way, a great lesson in weather models and how how you have to be so careful when you use them. And we know the battles that we go through in the wintertime with weather systems being either too far to the right or too far to the left. And sometimes we forget that in the summertime because we're not used to dealing with weather setups that look like this one, which is something that you would see in the fall, winter, and spring, but not so much in the summertime. Here was a case where, if we go back a few days ago, the western edge of the rain for a lot of the models was no further west than the Pennsylvania-New Jersey border. Look how far west this rain shield has gotten. And the heavy rain, in fact, which was probably going to be mostly confined to areas east of the New Jersey-Pennsylvania border. The heaviest rain has actually been to the southwest and west of the low center. We are getting some bands of heavy thunderstorms, and I want to point out in particular one that's a little stretch here. I'm going to see if I can bring this up on the local radar, view. Let me see if I can find it, and let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of that. And let's get rid of me. This radar might work. Yes. Okay, so here, take a look at this. Is the local radar from centered at, this is centered in Fort Dix in New Jersey. And to the right, on the upper right of the screen, you can see the regional radar view. Here's the local radar view. And if you notice that yellow box that shows up, that is a special marine warning that the National Weather Service put up, indicating that there could be a severe thunderstorm in there and a possible water spout. This is what we are going to start to see between now and 2 a.m. These bands of thunderstorms that are developing out in the ocean and lifting northward. I'm particularly interested in the band that's from southern New Jersey now, that is over Cape May County, and you can see it there, the yellow area over Cape May County that extends eastward from off the New Jersey coast and offshore. I think when that band reaches up into northeastern coastal New Jersey and into New York City and western Long Island. From that, we're going to wind up with probably some rather strong thunderstorms, and I think we're probably going to see some wind gusts to 40 to 50 miles an hour when that lifts up northward. This is very, very fast, folks. This is basically a 6-hour event from start to finish, because after about 2 or 3 a.m., much of this is going to be lifting northward and lifting northward rather quickly. So that is good news, because the fact that it is going to be fast is a good thing. Otherwise, you get something like this that lingers for hours on end. You wind up with, you really do wind up with some problems as far as flash flooding is concerned. So I'm going to come back to, let's go see if I can bring that window back up. Let's see, hang on one second. Where did my window go? All right, there we are. Okay, so I've got here, again, this is the regional radar. So I'm going to switch over. We're going to go over to the HRRR model. And we'll see how the HRRR seems to be one of the more aggressive models here when it comes to the wind with this, showing that there could be some gusts to 50 or 60 miles an hour. So when we draw this band at 1 a.m. Sunday morning, you can see though the echoes, how it reflects the radar across northern New Jersey and over western Long Island. That's the band that I'm really concerned about. That's the one that is now forming east of Cape May County in New Jersey and out in the Atlantic. And as it lifts northward, it does produce some heavy thunderstorms as it lifts on through. And then notice that surface low. You see how far west it is on the HRRR? It goes west of the Delaware-Maryland line into southeastern Pennsylvania and moves north-northwestward. By tomorrow morning, this is at 8 a.m., it's long gone. After about 3, 4 in the morning, much of the precip is over with and lifts up to the northeast. And you get that band that moves up through New England. The actual low center goes up into western New York. After that, you're going to wind up with bands of showers and thunderstorms popping up from time to time through Sunday, through Monday, and into Tuesday. So really, in summary, the rough weather is going to be for the next 4 hours or so, from 10 p.m. So we're just at 10:07 p.m. Eastern time till about 2 a.m. and then it should start to get better. But right around midnight, it'll get fairly interesting. Here's a plot, by the way. I just have some of the winds plotted up and down the New Jersey coast. Looks like there's I don't know what station that is in Delaware Bay. It's probably maybe a buoy out there. A 48 mile an hour wind gusts. Most of the gusts have been in the 25 to 30 mile an hour range. A few spots seeing gusts a bit higher, even on the south shore of Long Island, the gust of 42 being indicated. This is in Shirley. We have a gust to 37. Can't seem to pull up what that station is. This is offshore. This is buoy 4065 east of Sandy Hook, which has got a gust of 36 with a sustained wind of about 30. Let me see if I can get that Delaware Bay wind. Sometimes it'll tell us what the station is, and sometimes it doesn't. Great Channel at Stone Harbor, a gust of 37 there. So you get the idea, folks. We're probably going to see some gusts of 40 or even 50 miles an hour for a brief time when that band of storms moves up. Okay, so why don't we just go really fast and take a look at what the weather models are doing with regards to the weather across the U.S. For the rest of this week. We've got heat building up again, continuing actually across much of the central and western Gulf states and extending into Texas and the southern plains. We are going to see that going on for a while with the way the weather pattern has been. Here's the GFS. So here's the GFS's handling of the low in the east. The what you see back out to the west, that is the reflection of the upper low that is driving all this, and the coastal low is sort of married to that upper low as it rotates up and around it. That low pressure in the Ohio Valley actually winds up dropping southward toward Florida, and you just have this long trough up and down the Appalachians westward. So you're going to be seeing these bands of downpours and thunderstorms as we move through this entire week. GFS is fairly aggressive with this right into through Thursday at least, and maybe a little bit of a break, but then it still has some stuff popping up Friday and on Saturday as this overall pattern in the east with the deep trough continues. And in fact, when we put the upper air on, let me just bring that upper air. Here we go. Okay. So here's that big upper low in the eastern part of the U.S. in the Ohio Valley. I mean, its circulation is so large. One of the things I've been pointing out, when you got this trough in the east, you always want to be careful with regards to tropical weather. We don't see anything in terms of tropical systems that are out there right now, which is a good thing. I just want to really fast bring up the Atlantic satellite view, the loop of the Atlantic satellite. Let's just keep an eye on, if you look on, there's an area of disturbed weather that is developing. Looks like it's north of Hispaniola. You can see it there. It flares up during the day today. That is actually being reflected by the system. You see this dark patch of blue out in the Atlantic to the southeast of Bermuda. There's an upper low there that's going to be migrating westward. So we might want to keep an eye on that because if that disturbed weather persists, it would be problematic with this trough here in the eastern part of the United States. Right now, there's nothing there to worry about, but being that area has flared up today, and being that the systems that we have seen with Chris was basically a homegrown system that formed off the southeast coast a couple of weeks ago, and it of course stay offshore. But I've been saying this, and I'm going to continue to go with the idea that this may be a season where we're going to see the developments come more in the subtropics rather than in the deep tropics, and it might be just worth keeping an eye on. So the trough in the east persists pretty much all week, and then once that trough weakens, another upper low drops down into just north of the Great Lakes. It doesn't extend as far southward as the last one did, but it looks like an arm is coming around in the longer range as we move through the last days of July and into the beginning of August. And we've got a very deep trough there at the end of the month. This is around day 9 and 10 in the long range. We have a very deep trough from just north of Lake Superior, straight south to just east of New Orleans, and a south-southwest flow along the east coast. So the trough wants to stay more in the eastern half of the United States. Then that lifts out, and the flow goes a bit westerly as we get through that first week of August. But you still see, if you look, there's an upper low sitting well north of Hudson Bay with a broad trough that extends south into the Great Lakes and into the Ohio Valley. So it still wants to make this mean trough more in the east, and the ridge either flat east-west or trying to move more toward the west. That is the longer range trend here. And there's nothing there. There's nothing in the pattern here that to me suggests changing that idea. Let me just come back to the local radars, by the way. You can see the upper low out to the west, by the way, on this regional view with some bands of showers and thunderstorms. The severe weather risk tonight is in the southeast, and we are seeing some flare-ups of thunderstorms here. We do have some severe thunderstorm watches up tonight over parts of the southeast. So again, check. We're at 10:15 Eastern time, so you want to check your local National Weather Service office if you're watching this later on a replay. Why don't we go to the local radar here in New York, see if it'll let me. It doesn't want to let me. Let me just see. Okay, it's understandable why. Let's try it this way. I'm going to switch to this image. We'll go to weather.gov and I'm going to we'll bring up a couple of local radars here. So here is here's the radar from centered over uh, Upton in central Long Island, and you can see right along the south shore of Long Island now back to about New York City is where that strong thunderstorm that was being indicated. But the special marine warning now, as of 10:15, is down. But there's that other band that I was more concerned about. That's further south. This is the area as of 10:15 that's off the New Jersey coast, just south of Atlantic City. That's going to be lifting up northward. So in a couple of hours, that'll be up into the central and northern New Jersey coast and off the south shore of Long Island. I think that's the one that's probably going to produce the potential for some severe weather. So we'll leave it at that. Let me come back to the board with you guys at this point. And hang on one second. Okay. Let me lose that. Let's bring me up front and center. And I think what I will do is, yeah. So we'll get the radar here. We'll put me here. And we can have both things going on at the same time. Okay, so let me come back to you guys. Joshua Pan, you haven't been around for a while. Every time one of these summer coastal storms comes around, the press seems to go on about how rare it is, but it seems to happen every year or two. It's not rare, okay? It's not that rare. Let's put it that way. And you're right. Every couple of years, we do see this. I was reminded back in 2009, apparently, there was one that was rather exceptional. And I can remember over the years, every once in a while you do get a very dynamic pattern like this with a deep upper low that develops. Here we are in the middle of July and dealing with something like this. But that has also been the trigger mechanism for severe weather, by the way. The severe weather that produced, I think, 28 confirmed tornadoes in Iowa 2 nights ago was responsible for the severe weather and the boat sinking in Branson, Missouri that killed 16 people. That severe thunderstorm warning, by the way, was issued almost 30 minutes before the actual sinking occurred. So, I mean, that's a pretty decent amount of lead time when it comes to severe weather. You put the warnings up when you see them on the radar, and they go out right away. But certainly, the idea that there was a risk of severe weather was obvious with the upper pattern the way it was, and we also had. We've got severe weather. We had severe weather yesterday over parts of the Ohio Valley. We've got a severe weather threat tonight in the southeast and also in the coastal areas from New Jersey to Long Island, southern Connecticut, and southeastern New England with the system that's here. This is, does it happen every year? No. Is it unusual? Somewhat, but it's not as big a, deal that, some folks are making it out to be. So let me just see. I'm just trying to get through, make sure I got all your questions here. Right now, much of the weather, at least for much of Long Island, is, nothing extraordinary really. Just finished Noah's NCAS Careers Weather Camp. Good. That's all good to hear. Glad to see all the career opportunities in atmospheric sciences. A growing field and probably a good time to be getting into it. Because I'll probably be getting out of it soon with retirement. It certainly is a growing field. Joshua Pan, late July nor'easter last year. I don't remember, but I'm going to take your word for it. And yes, I do remember the one on Mother's Day and for early June. Yeah, it does happen every so often. Let's see. Could that band in Cape May County affect your area in northeastern Morris County? Well, you know, some of the cells might hold up into northern New Jersey. I think it's possible. I don't think you're going to see. I don't think you're going to see. You know, the winds with this are going to be confined really to coastal areas for the most part, and not so much the inland areas. You know, because of the way that the low is tracking, if this low was moving up the coast, right off the shore, right along the immediate coast, kind of hugging it all the way up, then I think your chances would be better. But with the low going to the west, you're going to have to depend on the strength of that band and how much of a westward extension are you going to get. You know what? You're going to just watch the radar to see how that plays. Um, you know, Reaver, I'm sort of half serious about retirement. But you know, one day I'm going to have to. But I don't have any plans to do it anytime in the next week to 10 days. Let's put it that way. Let's see. I guess the NAM model was correct, pushing the system out faster. Well, they've all been pretty fast. I mean, now you know the differences in the models have been from really more of a matter of hours than anything else. I think once the consensus was reached on the track, then it was a matter of just putting all the rest of the puzzle pieces together. Why didn't the low follow the baroclinic zone and stay over the water? Why did it go to the west? You've got that gigantic upper low, Reaver. If you look at we showed you the radar loop before. You saw the cells out in the Ohio Valley and how they were turning counterclockwise. That upper low's circulation is so large that this system is just basically married to it, and it got pulled further to the west because of that upper low to the west. That's just how it. I think the models early on were playing with the idea that it would probably be more along the coast, as you pointed out, hugging the baroclinic zone. But as that upper low, as we got closer to the event, it was very clear that the models perhaps weren't giving enough respect to the circulation of the upper low and how it was going to impact this coastal system as it developed. You know, if this low had tracked a bit further to the east when it was off the North Carolina coast and moved over the Gulf Stream, this probably would have become at least a subtropical storm, if not a tropical storm. But because that surface low stayed very broad and basically hugged the coastline along or just inland of the coast, it really didn't have any opportunity to develop a true warm core character. And its track over the water is very brief as it emerges for a brief time, perhaps as it moved off the North Carolina coast and passed just east of, say, Virginia Beach. And, now it's kind of sitting near Chesapeake Bay, and moving northward from there. The NAM would say that the low center is going to go into Delaware Bay. The HRRR wants to take it further west, up more toward Chesapeake Bay. Well, look, as far as his prediction is concerned, Reaver, I would just say, had he gotten about 50 miles further to the east over the Gulf Stream, I still contend that if it had done that, unless this thing would have wrapped up into a minimal hurricane, which I don't think it would have done. I just don't think it would have had the time to do that. You really would have probably wound up with the same thing. The outcome, I think, would have been about the same. Maybe the rains would have been a bit more enhanced. Maybe the wind might have been a bit more enhanced. But for all purposes, I think it would have been pretty even. So it's kind of a wash in my view. I don't think, Larry Jackson, that we'll get an inch or two out of this, because everything's moving too quick. Now, the only way the one way I could be wrong on that for Nassau County, and even for me into West Suffolk, if that band of storms that's east of Atlantic City now, if that band of storms holds together and maybe gets a little bit more punch to it, you could put down a quick inch of rain in a short period of time. But I think because of the track that the low is to the west, unless we do it convectively, I'm thinking the rainfall amounts may wind up falling under an inch. We may also, by the way, make it up on Sunday if we get into some downpours in that tropical flow that's going to remain once this low goes by. That is one thing that's going to be still here after this is all said and done. We're going to continue to still have this moist tropical flow during the day Sunday, and I think this is going to allow for the possibility of some downpours and some thunderstorms, and some places are going to wind up with some heavy rain. Other places are going to see very little. So it's going to depend on where you are. In Delvin, inland tracks, coast huggers mean storms bring winter rain, and in the summer just a rain system. But if the storm track Gulf Stream benchmark equals winter storm, snowstorm, and summer tropical storm development, well, I would say yes. That is the case. That's correct. If you had this low, as we said, running up the Gulf Stream and then maybe heading to the benchmark, it probably would have gotten to a tropical storm status. But if it had attained a warm core nature, if it had done that, chances are we would have not seen very much of anything at all up our way tonight. So, it's a big trade-off here when it comes to this sort of thing. Let's see. Could the second trough, Ryan Ford, that you mentioned for August spawn a second upper-level disturbance like the one tonight? Well, it's a pretty deep trough that's there. Now, whether it dives down and cuts off the same way remains to be seen. Right now, it's the model isn't showing that literally, but that doesn't mean, since it's far out into the long range to day 10, that doesn't mean that in subsequent runs we may wind up with something similar. I would be a little more concerned with seeing a deep trough like that and watching for the possibility of something forms east of the Bahamas, say, or off the southeast coast of the United States with that trough in the east persisting. I think that is a concern as we start to go into into August, and of course that the peak. We're going to be heading toward the peak of the hurricane season and peak activity over the next 8 weeks or so. We're getting there. Okay, we have to watch. J.S. Sweetie, have a weird and maybe obvious question. Was there a dramatic drop in pressure today? We had ears that we just could, well, the low itself. I don't know what the lowest pressure is at the moment, but yes, we certainly did have some pressure falls with the offshore high pulling out, the upper low swinging east, and that surface low to the south moving northward with pressures dropping there. It's not an exceptionally deep low. We're talking about around 1,000 millibars, or perhaps maybe it's down to 999. But if you're saying that you had a physical reaction to the pressure drop, yes. I would not. I'm not surprised at that. Baltimore, 3 to 4 inches of rain. Scott Briller. Well, you had the surface low move, heading almost right toward you, and that's where the heavy rain showed up. And again, this was because everything shifted to the west over the last couple of days. When will the system be pushing out from the area? I think after 2 a.m. Dio. You wake up tomorrow morning at 6 or 7 a.m. It'll be long gone. Actually, you know what, Mystery Gamer, by the way, and also for JS Sweetie, I had an ear popping thing that happened to me too. I also that did happen to me this morning. So which I thought was kind of weird because I'm usually not that sensitive to that sort of thing. So I guess I'm not alone. Something must have happened to all of us. We all must be extra weather sensitive at the moment. Okay, I'm just trying to see what everybody else is saying. Reaver just gave, since Reaver brings it up, and thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Reaver bought a new Keurig on my Amazon link. Thank you so much. He points out, I guess it's my time just to at least I've got a link to to Amazon on this live stream and to the video if you're watching this later on. We're a member of Amazon's affiliate, Amazon Services Associates program, which is an affiliate advertising program designed to provide a means for this channel to earn fees by linking to Amazon and its related sites. So if you shop on Amazon and you use the Joe Stradamus link, you get your stuff at a great price, and Amazon throws me back some coin, and I really, really appreciate it. There's also a link to Ebates, so if you use Ebates and go to Amazon, you can actually kill two birds with one stone, and you can get extra cash back from Ebates, and I'm a member, also participant in the Ebates affiliate advertising program, which is designed to provide a means for this channel to earn fees from Ebates. Thank you so much. Enough of the commercial promotion. Okay, so here's what we're doing. We've got a couple of website posts up at meteorologistjoecioffi.com. Thank you, J.S. Sweetie, by the way, for what you just said. You can read more about what's going on tonight there. We'll keep you covered on the weather during the day on Sunday, and of course, every day at my website. We'll live stream tomorrow. I may stay up for a little while. If the wind gets cranking, I may jump on and do a quick Facebook live stream, and you can check me out there at Meteorologist Joe Cioffi. That is my Facebook page, and I usually do we do the Joe and Joe Weather Show there every night. We're not doing it tonight, and we're not doing it tomorrow. We'll be back on Monday, so we'll keep you posted on all the weather going on over the rest of the weekend and in the week ahead. We'll keep our eyes on the tropics for you. Everybody have a great evening and a safe evening, and we'll talk to you soon.